The study we looked at was titled Mindfulness-Based Practices with Family Carers of Adults with Learning Disabilities. Just some background. There are 170,000 households in England with an adult family member with a learning disability or behavioral challenges. And just to further clarify, the UK defines the term learning disability as an impairment of general mental ability, typically an IQ of 70 or below, along with a significant impairment of social and adaptive functioning. The adults with the disabilities are often cared for by a family member, and because they require emotional, social, and physical care, it can be challenging for the family members to properly take care of them. These family members often experience long-term stress due to the constant juggling of day-to-day home life and unpredictable behavior. This study came about after it was realized that the family members aren't getting the support that they need to help their disabled relative. The objective of this research was to develop a successful course that would help teach family members in a long-term caring role. So basically just help them better be able to support their disabled relative. And then this study and course was created using acceptance and commitment therapy ideas and positive behavior support ideas. Acceptance and commitment therapy is an approach that therapists use to help clients learn to stop avoiding inner emotions. Clients work towards accepting issues and commit to making change. This method is often used to treat workplace anxiety, social anxiety, and depression. Positive behavior support is used to understand what maintains an individual's challenging behavior. These behaviors can stem from reinforcement in a certain environment. The research and methods itself consisted of a pre-course interview, the courses themselves, and then the post-course follow-ups. The pre-course was done to get a better understanding of the subject's life and the expectations that they had going into the course. Also, what would they signify as a successful course when they leave? The course itself consisted of 5 classes with 3 communication spaces after classes 1, 3, and 5. The subjects would discuss their specific experiences with other members of the class during the 3 communication spaces. The post-course follow-up occurred 6 to 12 weeks after the course, so the subjects could incorporate what they learned into their daily lives. So during the time 6 to 12 weeks after the course, the family member could start to implicate some ideas that they took from the course itself and see if they benefit their family member before they go back for the post-course follow-up to determine if the course was successful.
So the findings section was broken down into 2 subsections. The first was the behavioral changes of the participants, and the second was the impact of the PHR approach on the content and process. So the behavioral findings were that for most family caregivers, the effects were quite rapid, reportable, and observable. 14 out of 18 family caregivers reported making changes to their own behaviors that improved their mental health and in some cases their physical health during or after the course. They began to prioritize time to do things that they took pleasure in, and for most it started out small, making commitments to invest 15 minutes or more in themselves each day. Some family caregivers reported reducing long-term medication that they've been taking for stress after being part of the course, and others reported reduction in the medication for the person they cared for, which led researchers to believe a calmer caregiver led to a calmer person being cared for. The participants identified and reported changes in long-term unhelpful response behaviors that made challenging behaviors in the family members continue. So the second subsection of the findings was the impact of the participatory health research, or PHR, approach on the course. So the PHR approach enabled people to see differently and to come up with their own actions. Before the project, family caregivers felt mindfulness or the ACT was not relevant and not really that important because it didn't focus on the needs of the person with a disability. And as they became more deeply involved, both family caregivers and the facilitators recognized how family caregivers were prioritized their need for self-nourishment. The facilities were not able to hear the caregivers' criticism of the clinical professionals, and normally they won't get this type of feedback, but that led them to being able to be more willing to change their behaviors, which then helped the person with a disability more. And key changes to the research approach and course design were made throughout the project, allowing them to be very adaptable and to improve the approach even more. So the discussion section revisited the process and how well it worked. For example, the involvement of the facilitators as researchers into their own practice was the key to effective change. And co-creating self-knowledge through co-laboring is a very powerful tool. And family caregivers and facilitators shaped the design and carried out the systematic questioning and reassessing of their own and each other's assumptions through the learning new ways together. And this had a huge and very helpful impact. And sharing responsibility was invaluable. Caregivers can and need to be involved in the process from start to finish, and they are a very important aspect. And that was one of the major findings from this study. And this is just the works cited and a link to the study.